The meeting of the Standards Committee dated 24th March 2021 is now live.
Right, thank you. Well, good afternoon, anyone who's watching. Welcome to the final meeting of the Standards Board. And we have to be guided because I haven't got a paper copy here. Item number 1, Andrew, what's that one? Going to tell us?
It's apologies and an appointment.
Apologies, yes, apologies, yeah, absolutely.
We have apologies from Councillor Barnes.
And we are quorate, are we? Yes.
We are quorate, yes.
Good. Item number 2.
Declarations of interest.
Declaration of interest. Anyone had a declaration of interest? No, I don't think so. Right. Item 3
is the minutes of the last meeting.
Minutes of the last meeting. Anyone read the minutes? I hope that's all right. Good. Thank you. Yep, that's agreed.
4 is urgent business.
Urgent business, of which we do have something. No, do we? No.
No.
No, we don't have anything. Right, that's fine. Item number 5
is chairman's announcements,
which I have none.
Okay. So then that takes us to item 6, which is the standards final update. So that's a report which I'll take you through.
Right, fine. Thank you, Andrew.
Okay. Let me just get to the top of it. Sorry. Here we are. So this is the report entitled Standards Final Update, and what it is a summary of the work which this committee has done in 2021, and also an update on the local government ethical standards, which I thought was worthwhile putting in as well. So under part 3, I've set out the various meetings that this committee has had and the business that it's conducted. Back in July, you approved your draft annual report for 2019-20, and that subsequently went on to committee. And that's when you also saw the report from the Committee on Standards in Public Life, where they talked about the review of the local government ethical standards. 16th of September was a very quick meeting. This is the one after the annual council when you appoint your chairman. The 30th of September was probably the most important meeting that you had, as well as receiving any update on complaints. This is when you also approved changes to the standards complaint arrangements, noting that you wanted to become more involved in the actual complaints themselves. And also, at that time, you noted the progression on the co-option of what we were looking for was 2 town or parish councillors to the vacant positions on the committee, and it's great to see Declan Waters here today. And on the 17th of December, because it had been a quiet year, we cancelled the meeting because obviously you've got your arrangements in place. There was no movement on the ethical standards report, and we hadn't received any further complaints at that time. With regards to co-opted members, we were successful in getting a really good candidate come in, which is Councillor Declan Waters of Road Parish Council.
Indeed, you did. I was so glad to see you, Declan.
Yeah, good afternoon.
I thought you would never have anything to do with us, but here you are. It's really good.
And then also, I've just put in here about our independent persons, and again we've got Tom here, but there's also Dr. Sadie Reynolds, who joined us at the last meeting as well, and they've acted as our independent persons for a number of years. And Tom, I don't know if you've actually had any conversations yet with West North Hants, but you were appointed as an independent person for the West North Hants Council as well a couple of weeks ago. So, I'm sure. Well, I know you gave authorization to do that, but I wasn't sure whether or not anybody since that council meeting has actually come back to you. But obviously they will do, yeah. If no more than to make sure that they have details for your fees. So, but I would like to place on record here, if I may, Chairman, my thanks to the independent persons. They're the ones that I go to with each complaint to say, this is what I think, but more importantly, what do you think? And there's always been very good, wise, sage advice coming through, for which I'm extremely grateful for. And then update on the...
Will, I mean, sorry, just a minute, what Declan, does he go into West North Hants?
I actually wondered that earlier on. Obviously, the Standards Committee will have co-opted parish and town councillor positions, and I've actually got a meeting coming up with the West North Hants monitoring officer on Friday, and it was only just before this meeting I actually thought to myself, I wonder if that's been given consideration yet. So I will take it up with Catherine White on Friday.
Well, I think that poor Declan, he's just been appointed. I mean, we've all been there for years, but we're going. But Declan really should be going through. And actually, Declan, if you do go through, I would forecast one thing: you'll have very much more work to do in the new authority than you probably do in South North Hants. But anyway, that's remains to be seen. Yes, fine.
Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Because again, Councillor Wood is a very, very recent appointee and has gone through the process.
Well, can you record that in that we would hope that he would go? Would you agree, Anne, Stephen, that we recommend that he should be appointed if possible?
Absolutely. Does he, however, you're a parish councillor, aren't you?
Yes, I'm parish, so I'm standing for election.
You are standing for election.
I am, yes. So if I'm not successful, I'll let Diana know.
I was going to say, it depends, doesn't it? If you have more than, I don't know, how many are on your parish council?
So there are 13. So
13.
If we have more than that, it goes to contest.
You're going to have a vote, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it depends whether you come through.
Of course. Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Okay. With regards to the Government Ethical Standards Report, obviously this has been in place since January 2019, and there's been quite a bit of frustration about this, in that the government itself acknowledged it at the time, but then didn't do anything with it. And members will be aware that some of the recommendations within that report will require changes to, well, it will require primary legislation as well. So it needs to have Parliament time. And Luke Hall, a minister there, has actually now written to Sue and actually said that they are going to consider that they have considered the committee's recommendations and would be looking to consult on those. Haven't seen anything since, but I'm sure now that the intent is there. The National Association of Local Councils, I'm sure, will be reminding them of what they've actually said they would like to do. A number of councils have already put some of the best practice in place where they can. And so, for example, the West North Hants and the North Hants code of conduct follows the recommendations within here, and strengthens elements such as the bullying and harassment ones that it was felt that were lacking. Obviously, we can't do anything with regards to sanctions. That's one of the recommendations in there, that there needs to be more and better sanctions, but obviously that will require legislation. So I think it is still a case of watch this space, but it does seem to have been a move now to actually look at the recommendations there and put something else in place. Thank you, Chair. That was really that's all I have to say on that report.
Fine. Any comments? Yes, Stephen. Unmute. How do I unmute yourself?
Just a few points. I went through it, and there are a few points that they rang bells, really, bells of familiarity. Some of the things I think we already know. For example, most of the complaints concern parish and town councils. I mean, we know that there are occasional problems with the senior authorities, the principal authorities, but it's mainly with them. They introduced an idea from common law, this idea that whatever you do or say, wherever, on Twitter or whatever, you are acting in an official capacity unless there is evidence to the contrary, a rebuttable presumption. So that's kind of interesting, and how you'll go about proving that, I don't know. As Andrew just said, and I think a lot of us have felt this, that sanctions at the moment are really just not sufficient. Getting somebody to apologise, or an entry to be made in the minute book of a parish council, it's not really good enough. And there should be the facility to suspend a councillor if their crime or whatever is sufficient. But equally, that they should have a right to appeal to the local government ombudsman if they disagree with it. So yeah, I think there's a lot of really good ideas in there, and sooner government can find time to, get their heads around it, the better. I mean, obviously, they've had other things to worry about since the report was published, and one has to forgive them for that. But it does need looking at. It does need central government to deal with it and execute the recommendations. Thank you very much, Chair.
No, thank you. It could be some time, I would suggest, in Parliament. I mean, they've got plenty of things to keep them occupied. But anyway, we'll see. Right. So do we have to agree on this one, or did we just note it?
It was to be
note
noted.
the report.
Noted.
Noted, fine. Right, next item
Is the let me make sure I got this
exclusion
right.
of the public.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah. So can I propose that? Stephen, yes, agreed.
I'll second the motion. Do you need it read out, Andrew, or not?
I will read it out. I think it's always best to.
Right.
So the following reports contain exempt information defined in the following paragraphs of Part 1, Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972. And it is Part 3, information relating to the financial or business affairs of any particular person. Members are reminded that whilst the following items have been marked as exempt, it is for the meeting to decide whether or not to consider each of them in private or in public. In making the decision, members should balance the interests of individuals or the council itself in having access to the information. In considering their discretion, members should also be mindful of the advice of council officers. Should members decide not to make a decision in public, they are recommended to resolve as follows: that under Section 100A of the Local Government Act 1972, the public and press be excluded from the meeting for the following item of business on the grounds that if the public and press were present, it would be likely that exempt information falling under the provisions of Schedule 12A Part 1, Paragraph 3 would be disclosed to them, and that in all the circumstances of the case, a public interest in maintaining the exemption outweighs a public interest in disclosing the information.
Thank you. We accept that. Agreed, Stephen? Anne? Yes? Yeah, so
I seconded it, so I agree. Yeah.
Great. Everyone else agreed? Right. So I don't know if any press, anyone is there, but anyway, let's exclude them.